Friday News Bulletin. My name is Bernard Mansa. Our top stories. Bambino Jesu Pediatric Hospital to celebrate 100th anniversary with Pope Francis. Minister of Local Government urges legislators to be transparent and accountable in CDF allocation. The Lilongwe City Mayor pleads with city dwellers to avoid environmental degradation. And in other news, Senegal opposition leaders freed ahead of the elections. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. More than 3,000 staff members across the 6 campuses of the Bambino Jesu Pediatric Hospital, along with patients and their families, are preparing to commemorate the hospital's donation to the Holy See's 100th anniversary with Pope Francis tomorrow. According to a press release issued on Thursday, the Bambino Jesu Pediatric Hospital informed reporters that the event is being held to honor the centennial anniversary of the hospital's donation to the Holy See by the Serviette family, its founders, in 1869. Bridget Manoga has more in this Vatican News report.
On February 20th, 1924, the hospital was gifted to the Holy See, becoming renowned as the Pope's Hospital. Now recognized as a premier academic hub for pediatric research and care in Europe, the Bambino Jesu Pediatric Hospital operates across 6 locations in and around Rome, boasting 627 beds and handling a staggering volume of medical services annually, including emergency visits, hospitalizations, surgeries, and outpatient care. Notably, the hospital extends its support to numerous foreign-born children, particularly those affected by conflict-ridden regions, annually welcoming over 300 patients on humanitarian grounds. Engaged in international cooperation projects across 18 nations for healthcare personnel training and specialized interventions, the hospital plays a vital role in global healthcare outreach. Amidst the day's festivities, including a purple audience, scheduled activities feature heartwarming moments such as children's entertainment and a touching gesture of presenting messages from patients to Pope Francis.
That was Bridget Manoka with a Vatican News report. Minister of Local Government, Unity and Culture, Richard Banda, who is also the leader of government business in Parliament, has asked legislators to be more transparent and accountable on Community Development Fund CDF, stressing its use for different developments to local councils. Making his sentiments today in Parliament, Banda said members of Parliament are simply stewards of CDF, urging them to remove the tendency of identifying CDF as their own, as this hinges people to access resources at local levels. We have more in this report by Charity Chilanga.
Banda emphasized the necessity for government funds to be transparent and accountable, ensuring citizens are aware of how their resources are being utilized. He cited examples from neighboring countries such as Zambia, Tanzania and Kenya, where community development funds CDF benefit communities rather than individuals. He urged MPs to embrace civic education and perceive CDF as government resources rather than personal funds. Banda stated that improved service delivery occurs when resources are distributed effectively, advocating for transparent and accountable management of CDF to enhance public trust. Additionally, he expressed gratitude to donors like GSID for decentralizing resources and implementing internal controls to uphold transparency and accountability.
It puzzles me and baffles me and pains me when people come here and ask for a teacher house at Parliament. These other questions can be better handled at council level. It baffles me when people ask for a bridge which is a one-span bridge at Parliament. If you see, this has been happening for the last 40, 50 years, and that doesn't show that we are growing in our democracy. And as a minister responsible, we want to decentralize more. Decentralization is not just on paper. We must decentralize resources. Resources must trickle down to the communities.
In the proposed 2024-2025 national budget, paged at about 5.9 trillion kwacha, about 200 million kwacha has been allocated for CDF.
The second-hand car importers have petitioned Parliament to intervene against Malawi Revenue Authority's intent to sell over 308 vehicles at the borders until discussions take place. The Used Car Importers Association President Temba Mkandawire blames the Ministry of Finance for changing the duty charging system from specific duty to the previous ad volume. Receiving the petition, Budget and Finance Committee Vice Chairperson Ishmael Nkumba assured the traders of Parliament's support on their grievances. Robert Edward reports.
There are over 300 uncleared vehicles at the country's borders, according to Association of Used Car Importers, some of which believed to be those earmarked for Malawi Revenue Authority's disposal intent, as they have stayed for a long time uncleared at the borders. But this, according to the association's president, Temba Mkandawire, is because the duty has tripled for some, following Ministry of Finance's move to abandon the recently gazetted system for charging duty to the previous one called ad volume, where MRA put into consideration the invoice, engine capacity, and the year of make for a particular vehicle. He expressed surprise by the minister's sudden change of mind before the new system's commencement date, but other importers had already ordered vehicles thinking they would clear using the new system.
We were ready after the gazette that we are going to pass our border using the newer system, the specific. To our dismay, the minister revoked the system at an 11th hour. Actually, it was on 31st of December. They sent us a circular to say, no, we have reverted back, you'll be creating motor vehicles using the old system. So we said, no. The procurement of vehicles is a system, because in Malawi we've got a shortage of forex, whereby if you press an order to purchase a vehicle outside, it will take 2 to 3 months.
Vice Chairperson for the Budget and Finance Committee of Parliament, Ishmael Nkumba, received the petition and asked for the agreement document between the ministry and the importers, while assuring Parliament's intervention.
I have brought the petition to the right place, Parliament, where we are here to represent the people, and the grievances that their grievances are coming from, and where Parliament, together with the Cabinet, can come in to resolve these issues.
Their demands include stopping MRA from proceeding to sell the uncleared vehicles and an explanation from the minister, among others. Figures from the Ministry of Transport and Public Works in the 2024 Malawi Government Annual Economic Report indicates a 47% decline in vehicle imports from 32,275 in 2022 to 17,078 by December 2023. For Luntha, this is Robert Edward.
The Lilongwe City Mayor, His Worship Councillor Richard Banda, has urged the city dwellers to ensure that they are conserving the environment to avoid the occurrence of natural disasters. Banda says most areas in the city have become prone to the natural disasters following careless cutting down of trees, among others. He made the remarks earlier today in Lilongwe when he graced the tree planting exercise organized by Luntha Television in collaboration with its partners. We have more in this report being read by Charity Chilanga.
The exercise took place at Zamkudu Trading Center just along the bypass road in the capital Lilongwe. Mayor of the city of Lilongwe, Councillor Richard Banda, says environmental degradation has caused a lot of damage that has impacted on the people. He says it is high time that everyone thought of repressing the damage to nature to avoid further calamities.
For the 2 years ago, there were some floods which have been happening in the city just because of the lack of the trees. So that's why we urge the residents within the city that we need to revamp, to plant back the trees in the streets, in the road reserves, so that at least we need to back up the environment in the city.
Luntha Television Managing Director Reverend Father David Niwagaba also hinted that the citizenry must at all costs respect the nature to avoid it fighting back. He said the institution is more committed to plant more trees to keep responding to the Pope Francis call to care for the Mother Earth.
We have heard many people dying because of the different cyclones that have come and hit our country, and the invitation which has been coming to us from Pope Francis, the bishops in Malawi, the government of Malawi, and Lilongwe City Council, that we make Lilongwe City green again. And that has inspired us to plant these 1,000 trees. Looking back that we have done this activity over the past 5 years.
Also present during the event was Father Henry Chinkanda from the Episcopal Conference of Malawi, ECM, who held Luntha Television for the initiative. The event has been supported by the Norwegian Church Aid and Dan Church Aid and CADC Joint Country Program. This year, the institution has planted 1,000 trees, an increase from last year's 800 trees that were planted in Area 13 along Lilongwe River. The City Council has since called on more partners to continue planting trees as the city plans to plant 500,000 trees by 2025.
You're still watching the news on Luntha Television, and you're with me, Brennan Manza. We still have a few more stories to come, including an exclusive report. So stay tuned in, but we break for now.
Chidziwitso kwa onse olemba nzawo ntchito m'Malawi. Mkulu yang'anira makampani azachuma m'Malawi, the registrar, yemwenso ndi mkulu wa banki yayikulu m'Malawi muno, Reserve Bank of Malawi, anapatsidwa udindo oonetsetsa kuti olemba nzawo ntchito ayika olembedwa ntchito onse pa ndondomeko ya pension, kuonetsetsa kuti ndalama zomwe olembedwa ntchito akudulidwa pakutha pa mwezi zikuperekedwa ku pension fund pasanathe masiku 14 chidulireni ndalamazo, komanso kuonetsetsa kuti olemba nzawo ntchito ayika ntchito awo onse pa ndondomeko ya group life insurance, kapena kuti insurance yoti ogwira ntchito akamwalira insurance company ilipire kwa achibale otsala potsatira lamulo la Pension Act 2023. Njira zokakamizira kutsatira lamuloli. Mkulu oyang'anira makampani azachuma akuchenjeza olemba nzawo ntchito onse kuti adzalandira zilango izi akapanda kutsata lamuloli. Kupereka ndalama mpaka zokwana 100 million kwacha kapena ndalama zofanana ndi zomwe anapindula chifukwa chophwanya lamuloli mogwirizana ndi gawo 10 ndime 3C ya malamulo. B. Kugamulidwa potsata gawo 10 ndime 3B ya lamuloli. C. Kutengeredwa ku bwalo la milandu ndi kuonetsetsa kuti ogwira ntchito abwezeredwa ndalama zomwe amadulidwa kamba kosatsatira gawo 10 subsection 4 ya lamuloli. D. Kuzengedwa mlandu potsatira gawo 10 ndime 7A ya lamuloli pomwe munthu walephera kutsatira njira zakaperekedwe ka ndalama za pension pa gawo 10 ndime 3 ya malamulo akapezeka olakwa. Olemba nzawo ntchito adzapereka chindapusa chokwanira 100 million kwacha ndi kumangidwa kwa zaka 10. Kutseka malo ogwirira ntchito motsatira gawo 10 ndime 7B ya lamuloli ngati munthu walephera kutsatira njira zakaperekedwe ka ndalama pa gawo 10 ndime 3 ya lamuloli, kapena F kulanda ndi kusunga katundu wa onse ophwanya lamuloli. Kuti mudziwe zambiri, lemberani the Director, Pension and Insurance Supervision, Reserve Bank of Malawi, Post Office Box 565, Luntha. Email piscu@rbm.mw. Telephone 0111 820 444.
Welcome back, and a reminder of our top stories before we proceed. Bambino Jesu Pediatric Hospital to celebrate 100th anniversary with Pope Francis. Minister of Local Government urges legislators to be transparent and accountable in CDF allocation. Lilongwe City Mayor pleads with city dwellers to avoid environmental degradation. And in other news, Senegal opposition leaders freed ahead of the elections. The Malawi Legal Aid Bureau has pointed out significant strides in delivering legal aid services to a vast number of Malawians, currently managing over 23,300 cases nationwide. This achievement is highlighted in a statement released today and signed by the Director, Trabo Kalua, marking 9 years since its establishment as an independent institution separate from the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs from 2015. Tandiwe Mzumara has more in this report.
Since 2019, the Bureau has been executing the pro bono scheme for the Malawi Law Society, allowing individuals who cannot afford private legal representation to access it at no additional expense. Furthermore, in 2023, the Bureau and the Malawi Law Society collaborated to introduce a nationwide pro bono legal services scheme, extending free legal assistance to local communities through members of the society.
Financial challenges have been the main challenge that we've had to grapple with over the years, as well as, of course, on the human resource front. Whilst we've grown, like I've said, we are not at a position that we would love to. So we continue to try and surmount these challenges by talking to our development partners and those that are willing to assist, but also by continuously engaging the government, which is our main funder, to increase our yearly budget, year in and year out.
Over time, the Legal Aid Bureau has rendered legal assistance to numerous Malawians, currently managing more than 23,300 cases nationwide. Since its establishment 9 years ago, the Bureau has expanded its reach, evolving from 3 regional offices in 2015 to 4 regional offices in Blantyre, Zomba, Lilongwe and Mzuzu, along with 17 district legal of establishing 4 additional district offices in Chikwawa, Nchisi, Chiradzulu and Kada Bay in the upcoming fiscal year.
Journalists in Balaka, Zomba, Machinga and Chikwawa districts have been challenged to expose plight of the poor caused by climate change. This came out during a day-long media workshop organized by the Catholic Development Commission in Malawi, CADECOM, to update journalists on the commission to keep journalists up to date on climate change effects on people. CADECOM National Coordinator Aaron Kandio Mtaya says the poor paying climate change price caused by the rich, describing the scenario as human rights infringement. Rashida Matanika reports.
The training came under CADECOM's Advocacy for Improved Livelihood, Resilience and Sustainable Development project funded by Irish Aid through TROCRA, which aims at community participation in policy shaping through community skills development and people's rights in relation to climate change. Speaking to journalists from Balaka, Zomba, Machinga and Chikwawa districts, CADECOM's national coordinator, Aaron Kandiwo-Mtaya, said the poor pay the climate change price of the rich, which is a human rights infringement, challenging journalists to amplify voices of the poor and bridge the gap between communities and duty bearers.
We're implementing a project in Balaka, Machinga, and Chikwawa with an aim of empowering the communities, most especially the youth and the women, so that they should have the capacity to lobby of what is right for them to different stakeholders and also to dealers as in regards to issues of climate change. So we do understand the role that the media can play, and it does play, in ensuring that there is climate justice. That's why we invited them today, that we should have a training so as to look into the issues of how we can engage the communities as well as the stakeholders at different levels to bring issues from the grassroots to the nation and also to the global, to ensure that everyone knows what is happening on the ground, what is affecting the communities, and by that we are calling upon different actions from different.
Nation Publications Limited is Hollis Kolowa, a participant during the training, sees the meeting to be crucial as it imparted familiarization knowledge which will help in journalists' effective information dissemination.
The training is so important as far as writing, broadcasting is concerned, because we are like the channels where we communicate the communities with the duty bearers. So this training on climate and city justice is just so important for the members of the media, that we, if we are well familiarized with it, then we'll be able to take the correct message to the communities as well as from the communities to the bearers, which by the end of the day might bring solutions.
The project further creates platforms for community engagement so that people are aware of the budgets allocated for their areas and get feedback as regard to climate change and natural resources management interventions for women and the youth. Rashida Matandika, Luntha TV.
Well, we move on to our next item. The First Capital Bank has supported the 4 Nations tournament with money amounting to 50 million kwacha. Malawi will host the tournament from tomorrow, March 16th to 26th at Bingu National Stadium in Lilongwe. The tournament, which will involve neighboring Zambia, Kenya and Zimbabwe, will also attract the 4 teams under 20 national football teams. FCB Head of Marketing, Dwikale Chira, said they felt duty-bound to be part of the 4 Nations tournament, operating in 3 of the 4 participating countries. Malawi will face Kenya in the semi-final, while Zambia and Zimbabwe clash in the other semi-final. The winners will meet in the finals, while the losers will fight for the 3rd place. And finally, in other news, Senegal's opposition leader Ousmane Sonko and the presidential candidate is backing in this month's delayed election, Bassirou Diomaye Faye, have been released from prison. The two met thousands of their jubilant supporters in the capital Dakar after their release late on Thursday. Their release followed an amnesty announced by President Macky Sall. We have a BBC News report read by Roderick Guani.
The elections are due to be held on 24th March after a failed bid to push them to December. Bassirou Diomaye Faye, 44, is one of the 19 candidates contesting the elections and is expected to start campaigning. He is vying through a Diomaye President Coalition Party. Yassine Faye, Vice President of Mr. Sonko's disbanded PASTEF Party, which is now supporting Mr. Faye, said they are very pleased with their release. Despite spending months in prison, Mr. Faye is seen as one of the favorites in this month's election. He was detained without trial last April on charges including inciting insurrection. Mr. Sonko, 49, has been one of the President Sow's fiercest critics. He was jailed for 2 years last July on what he described as trumped-up charges aimed at barring him from running for president. President Sarr is standing down after serving 2 terms.
That also concludes this edition of the Friday News Bulletin. But as we go, a recap of our main stories. Bambino Jesu Pediatric Hospital to celebrate 100th anniversary with Pope Francis. Minister of Local Government urges legislators to be transparent and accountable in CDF allocation. The Lilongwe City Mayor pleads with city dwellers to avoid environmental degradation. And in other news, Senegal opposition leaders freed ahead of the elections. The bulletin today was produced by Salem Mosh. Roderick One was on the final control center. This has been Renard Manza. Thank you so much for watching and enjoy your weekend.